everyone, welcome back to another episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips, your favorite podcast channel to build effective communication skills and bridge the gap between confusion and clarity. I'm your host Sarika Singh and I'm so excited to talk to you today. Let's get talking. Hey everyone, I hope you're smiling. If not, I promise you'll smile today. Why? Because today's episode is personal. And when it gets personal, you do get to laugh at my silliness and all my goof-ups. But why is today's episode personal? What am I celebrating? Today's episode is personal because I'm celebrating my personal milestone. As I'm writing this episode, I crossed 15,000 followers on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is Communicate101. This is a social media handle which I had no clue about and which I'm still learning the ropes of. A part of me feels, wow, I do want to shout from the rooftops and say, hey, I could do it just by myself. No digital marketing experts, zero tech knowledge, no fancy video editing, just me. Plain, simple me. The other part of me says, hello, Sarika, look at all those people who've got a few 100,000 likes on every reel, every post that they make. They have a few million followers. You don't even exist in front of them. What are you so excited about? But truly speaking, for me, this is personal. This is a personal win. I was so shy of showing my face on social media, it took me the longest time. I was shy of talking about what I do, how do I do it. I was so shy. And for me, this is a real personal win. That I could shed my inhibitions, that I could learn something new, and most importantly, I could touch so many lives, several 100,000 lives at one time and make a difference. For me, that's my win. I want to celebrate this win with you all on this episode, and that's why this episode has to be personal. So many people have asked me what is my personal story, how and why I started teaching what I teach, what has been my journey. So for the very first time ever, daring to bear my personal side, this is my personal story, uncovered, uncensored. All those who've been with me at some point or the other, whether it's in a training program or a workshop or a session or generally been with me, must have heard me say this because I say it very often. Whenever I'm in trouble, God sends me angels. And God has always sent me angels in different shapes and sizes, in different forms, as different people. So I am sharing my story with utmost gratitude to the Almighty for giving me the strength to rise every time I fell, for backing me when my spine was challenged, for showing me the way when I was lost in those dark hours. So thank you, God. Thank you for everything. I consider myself a very fortunate child. Super caring parents, great teachers at school, gorgeous state of Jammu and Kashmir where I grew up. Academically, I used to be on the top of my class. Often sported badges and sashes of captaincy and more than often won certificates and medals and trophies. So something like a golden girl, participating in all sorts of events, a lot of public speaking events, played for state, won national awards. Life seemed to be pretty much under control. And I had loved audiences. I've had the chance to speak in front of lots of audiences and I absolutely love it now. You must be thinking, so what's her story? Because most people begin with, I was a shy, scared child, and then some eureka moment happened, some magical moment, which was a turning point which transformed me into a confident speaker. Well, My story is not like those stories. My story is a bit different. Growing up, there were two sides of me. One was a confident, supercharged captain, public speaker, star performer at school. And the other was the introvert me. When it came to mingling with new people, I struggled. I had a small, carefully chosen circle of friends, and I had no trouble interacting with them. But when it came to others, I spoke very little. I knew I wasn't the most talkative person, and I often felt nervous, but I had my reasons. A part of me always loved the attention I got, and I got plenty. The other part of me absolutely hated being the center of attention. So much so that I often found excuses to avoid public events. Social situations were something I dreaded. While some people thrived in social settings, I was part of that group that's super shy around other group. So today is about bearing it all. So I won't deny that I constantly worried that people are going to judge me, or that I would not meet their expectations. And this mindset put me in the group of those super shy kids. This mindset made me retreat further deep inside into my shell and powered the introvert me. I started at a great uni, not choosing the career I had planned for, but life is always unpredictable. Yet it all happens for the best. And this is what I told myself. One thing led to the other, and life went on. Everything went fantastic. Then something happened. I was barely 20 when I got married. Arranged marriage. I hadn't even celebrated my 21st birthday when I found myself alone. Well, not alone, because I was playing the role of a mom, a single mom. I was shocked, I was lost, and I was completely shaken. Back then, this is many years ago, India was even more conservative than it is now. And a broken marriage, especially one where you're not only a 21-year-old divorced, but also a mother, ouch, not normal. Everyone had thought, including me, back in the day, that I would do superbly well in life, and my life had been the envy of so many. And look at me now. Here I was, completely broken, shattered. I don't have words to describe what I went through, and let's not go there because it just pulls me down. Today, when I look back, I'm far more mature. When I look back, I question myself. Why did it happen to me? Of course, there's destiny, but why did it happen to me? Among many other reasons, I found that the one key reason was because I was naive. I didn't question people. I didn't question situations. I was too accepting. I never stood up for myself. As a result, what I started to do, I started avoiding social events. I was not going out with friends. I was not going out with family. There was a constant cycle of anxiety which started gorging on my personality. That super confident girl was yesterday's story, and I began to feel that I had lost everything. And this is what my life is going to be from now on: cribbing, crying, sad, unhappy, lost. But like I said, God always sends me angels. And this angel came from home. I've been a dad's girl all along, and my dad was very strong-willed, completely self-made, and a non-quitter. Now, my dad was not going to let his little Miss Sunshine fade away. So he asked me a very simple question. Pointing to my daughter, he asked me, "How do you want her to grow up? Do you want her to grow up into a confident person who has a voice, who can speak for herself? And more importantly, Sarika, do you want her to look up to you? These questions set me onto a different track, a track which I actually should have been on. My lost ship in those stormy seas suddenly found a lighthouse to guide it. And my dad showed me that my daughter was my hope. She was my guarding angel. And slowly I started steering back towards hope. I realized that if I wanted my daughter to grow up brimming with confidence, for this first I had to be sure of myself. I was the captain of my ship. And if the captain is unsure, if the captain is second guessing every decision, the crew will naturally feel anxious and uncertain. So I had to be that confident captain, that steady captain, to make sure my daughter was secure, performing her duties with assurance. So in this scenario, I was the captain and she was my crew. I knew that my confidence had to be not just 100%, but more like 200%. I went back to college, got myself some great mentors, and I say God sends me angels. These mentors were my angels. I honed my skills, envisioned how I wanted to strengthen skills of others who lacked these skills. I was a brand new person, full of confidence, full of energy, and a new sense of buoyancy. I'd never experienced this before. It was as if I'd been given a new set of wings, and suddenly I was soaring high, above my worries, above my doubts. My dad showed me how to hold the reins of my life. The new buoyant me had accepted my new self. And my wins, in my losses, my strengths, in my weaknesses, in totality, the new me. The new me didn't worry about people's judgments. I was assertive. I was confident, communicatively assertive. And the big question in my mind shifted dramatically. Earlier on, I used to ask myself, what if people notice? I was so afraid of standing out. I was so afraid of others' judgment. But now my question changed. I stopped saying, what if people notice? Instead, I said, so what if people notice? You see, that little so makes so much difference. What if people notice? So what if people notice? Who cares? So what if these people think I'm different? Do I even know the names of these people? Am I ever going to see them again? Does their opinion of me actually matter more than my opinion about myself? It's like being in a big concert where you bump into hundreds of strangers. 5 minutes after leaving, do you remember the faces of the crowd? Do they remember yours? Of course not. So what was I stressing about? I didn't care anymore. This was one of the most liberating moments of my entire life. Who cares? I don't. It was a liberating change, like shedding an old heavy coat and feeling that lightness of just being myself. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're shy, you're an introvert, or you're underconfident about communicating your thoughts, don't let discouragement get to you. As I celebrate my small number, which is big for me, 15,000 followers on my Instagram handle, which is Communicate 101, I take pride in being among the most sought after communication skills podcast in India, with the maximum number of downloads and maximum number of followers. I have no qualms sharing that I used to be incredibly anxious, feeling like I was trapped in a cage of my own making. But today, I'm not at all shy. I not only feel free myself, but I help others break out of their cages and breathe that fresh air. So the bottom line is, don't be too hard on yourself. Instead, forgive yourself, accept yourself, learn from it, and move forward. I had lots of fun sharing my personal story with you. I felt very close to you when I shared it all. I don't know who all are tuned up and listening to what I have to say. But if there's a topic that you'd want me to talk about, a communication related worry that's bothering you, and you feel it merits a whole new podcast episode, just shoot me an email at info@sarikasingh.in. And if you've not started following me on Insta, and if you're not one of those 15,000 followers, please open that Insta icon sitting on your smartphone right away and start following me on #Communicate101. Come on, what are you waiting for? Christmas? Thank you for listening to this episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips with Sarika Singh. If you want to be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow the podcast. I'll be back to share more stories, more life experiences, and more communication tips every Friday. If you want to reach me or connect with me, just put your comments in the comment box below or mail me at info@sarikasingh.in. I know you're going to rate and review this podcast, so a big thank you in advance. Stay tuned and think about what we talked today.